Switzerland's journey begins with a decision made over 2 centuries ago. Its strategic location, coupled with the formidable Alps, acted as a natural defense. Economically, Switzerland stands as a global powerhouse despite its small size and a population of just over 8.7 million people. They grew from a culture that values innovation, precision, and quality. Diversity has fueled its economy, with immigrants contributing to everything from high-tech industries to hospitality. Imagine a country tucked away in the heart of Europe, surrounded by towering alpine peaks and nestled among some of the world's most powerful nations. It's a land where the trains always run on time, the chocolates taste like a slice of heaven, and the people speak not one, not two, but 4 different languages. This is Switzerland, a small nation with an outsized reputation for excellence. But how did it come to embody such success, and what can the rest of the world learn from its story? Let's find out. Switzerland's journey begins with a decision made over 2 centuries ago. Picture the year 1815. Europe is reeling from the Napoleonic Wars, and the leaders from across the continent gather at the Congress of Vienna to redraw boundaries and restore order. Amidst the chaos, Switzerland stakes its claim, not for more land or power, but for neutrality. This wasn't a passive choice, it was a calculated move to ensure survival.
We don't need to worry about them pillaging or plundering their neighbors. And it's tiny. In fact, it's so small it could fit inside of the United States 238 times. Doesn't sound like the recipe for riches and wealth, right?
By declaring itself neutral, Switzerland avoided becoming a battleground in the endless power struggles of its neighbors. When World War II erupted, this neutrality proved invaluable. Despite being geographically surrounded by both Axis and Allied powers, Switzerland stood firm. The country mobilized over 430,000 troops, roughly 10% of its population at the time, ensuring that any potential invaders would face fierce resistance. Its strategic location, coupled with the formidable Alps, acted as a natural defense. While much of Europe was ravaged, Switzerland became a sanctuary for over 300,000 refugees and a trusted mediator during and after the war. This principle of staying out of others' conflicts didn't mean turning inward. Instead, Switzerland embraced the role of host for global diplomacy. Geneva alone today hosts more than 200 international organizations, including the headquarters of the Red Cross and the second largest office of the UN. The World Economic Forum in Davos.
The rising economies of Asia, new leadership in Africa, nationalism versus internationalist values, Donald J. Trump versus much of the world. This year's World Economic Forum annual meeting in the Swiss ski resort of Davos offers as wide a perspective on the global economy as any in recent years. CEOs, NGOs, influencers and disruptors, including 70 heads of state and government.
Where global leaders gather annually to discuss critical issues is another symbol of Switzerland's diplomatic significance. Its neutrality turned into a brand, one the world continues to respect. But neutrality alone doesn't build a thriving society.
You see, Switzerland proves that under the right conditions, any country has the capacity to prosper, and prosper big. Just 150 years ago, it was an agrarian society, and its economic development was that like of Italy, Spain, or Portugal. But today, the average wealth per adult is over a whopping $685,000.
Switzerland's political system plays an equally important role. Imagine living in a country where the people themselves can shape laws directly.
Laws are clear, stable, and properly enforced. And this is in part due to the fact that Switzerland has a very rigid legal system. It's very difficult for a government to implement radical reforms without having massive political support or asking the people to approve those reforms in a series of referenda,
where major decisions from national policies to local projects are voted on by citizens. That's Swiss direct democracy in action. Between 2010 and 2020, Swiss citizens voted on over 300 different referendums covering topics from healthcare to immigration. At the same time, the country is divided into 26 cantons, each with a high degree of autonomy. These cantons manage their own education, healthcare, and taxation systems, creating a highly localized approach to governance. This decentralization isn't just effective, it's trusted. A 2022 survey found that over 70% of Swiss citizens express high confidence in their government, a figure many other democracies would envy. Economically, Switzerland stands as a global powerhouse despite its small size and a population of just over 8.7 million people.
and roughly one adult in every 6 owns assets worth more than $1 million US.
Its banking sector often gets the spotlight, managing an estimated $2.4 trillion in assets. But there's more to that story. Think of the Swiss franc, a currency so stable that people around the world flock to it during times of uncertainty. Or consider its industries: precision engineering, pharmaceuticals, and luxury goods. Switzerland exports around $305 billion worth of goods annually, with machinery, chemicals, and watches leading the way. In 2022, Swiss watch exports alone amounted at over $24 billion, underscoring the country's mastery of craftsmanship. Companies like Nestle, which operates in nearly 190 countries, and pharmaceutical giants like Roche and Novartis, which invest billions of dollars in research annually, are not just accidents. They grew from a culture that values innovation, precision, and quality. This culture of excellence extends beyond work. Switzerland is a country where diversity isn't just tolerated, it's celebrated. With German, French, Italian, and Romance as official languages, Swiss identity is a rich tapestry of cultures. Near 25% of the population are foreign nationals, making Switzerland one of the most cosmopolitan nations in Europe. This diversity has fueled its economy, with immigrants contributing to everything from high-tech industries to hospitality. It's not always easy to balance such differences, but the Swiss have a knack for finding common ground. Mutual respect and a shared commitment to neutrality and federalism keep this multicultural society remarkably cohesive. Now picture this: a train cutting through the Alps, arriving at a station precisely on time. Switzerland's infrastructure is the stuff of legends. Its rail network spans over 5,000 kilometers, connecting remote mountain villages with bustling cities. Projects like the Gotthard Base Tunnel, the longest railway tunnel in the world at 57 kilometers, don't just happen without meticulous planning and investment.
After nearly 20 years of construction, the world's longest rail tunnel has opened in Switzerland. European leaders, including German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President François Hollande, attended the opening celebrations on Wednesday. The 35-mile Gotthard Base Tunnel is a high-speed rail link under the Swiss Alps. It will eventually help slash travel time between Zurich and Milan. The tunnel will shuttle twice the roughly 9,000 people traveling between northern and southern Europe by 2020.
Opened in 2016, it cost over $12 billion to build and significantly reduced travel time through the Alps, bolstering both tourism and trade.
From the beginning, Switzerland welcomed foreigners who loved its mountains. The country benefits financially from these visitors. Tourism is firmly rooted in Swiss society and is a key economic driver in the mountain regions, where an average of 25 million tourists generate 55 million overnight stays per year.
The same attention to detail applies to healthcare, where a mix of public and private systems ensures that Swiss citizens enjoy some of the best medical care in the world. With an average life expectancy of 83 years, Switzerland consistently ranks among the top countries globally for longevity of life. Of course, even Switzerland has its challenges. Its banking system, for instance, has faced scrutiny for enabling tax evasion, with international pressure forcing reforms in recent years. And while its economy thrives on exports, this dependency makes it vulnerable to global shifts, especially with the European Union, its largest trading partner, accounting for over 60% of Swiss exports. But if history has shown us anything, it's that Switzerland has a knack for adapting. Its sustainability efforts are a prime example. Over 60% of its electricity comes from renewable sources, particularly hydroelectric power. The country is also investing heavily in solar and wind energy, aiming for carbon neutrality by 2050. These efforts are driven not just by policy but also by public will. In 2021, Swiss voters approved stricter environmental laws despite the economic sacrifices they entail. Switzerland's story is one of turning limitations into strengths.
The largest share of Switzerland's GDP is generated by the manufacturing sector, which has not changed much since 1990. Interestingly, the largest share of exports consists of chemical and pharmaceutical products at around 50%, followed by machinery and electronics at 12% and watches at 8.6%. The EU is Switzerland's main trading partner, with approximately 67% of Swiss imports coming from the EU and 50% of Swiss exports going to EU countries. Today, Switzerland is so wealthy that 1 in 8 adults is a dollar millionaire.
It's a landlocked country that became a global crossroad, a small population that built a thriving, diverse society. It teaches us that success doesn't come from chasing power or size, but from rather chasing consistency, foresight, and a commitment to shared values. Whether it's the precision of its watches or the unity of its people, Switzerland reminds us that greatness is in the details and that even a small country can inspire the world.